Will the jury please stand and raise your right hand? Do each of you swear that you will fairly try the case before this court and that you will return a true verdict according to the evidence and the instructions of the court, so help you God? Please say I do.
I do.
You may be seated.
Is the prosecution ready? Is the defense ready?
Yes, Your Honor.
The prosecution may begin with opening remarks.
Good morning, Your Honor, and ladies and gentlemen of the jury. My name is Isaac Lowe, and I'll be on the prosecuting side. Today you will hear the evidence of the trial of Ethan Couch, a 16-year-old boy who stole alcohol from Walmart, went to a party and got drunk with Volumen assistance, and decided to take him and 6 of his friends in his Ford F-350 pickup truck while intoxicated. Shortly before midnight, Ethan sped away and a short time later swerved off the road, killing 4 innocent bystanders. Brianna Mitchell, Brian Jennings, Holly Boyles, and Shelby Boyles were all killed instantly. 3 hours after the wreck, tests show that Couch's alcohol level was .24, 3 times over the adult legal limit. With this evidence, I have presented Ethan Couch is without a doubt guilty. Ethan should not be only charged with 4 counts of intoxicated manslaughter, but also with shoplifting, underage drinking, driving while intoxicated, and reckless endangerment. I'm going to ask you to serve justice to Ethan Couch at the end of this trial because this minor should pay the price for his actions. Thank you.
Does the defense have any opening remarks?
Yes. Your Honor, jury, I would like to introduce myself as a defense side, Montana Lane. And Ethan Couch was accused of killing 4 people and is facing jail time. But as we know, Ethan has a history of mental issues, including affluenza, depression, and substance abuse. And he was coming home late one night, as he always does, because his parents have never taught him right from wrong. And his truck has had problems, including it's been recalled 3 times since 2011, and it has engine failure, transmission problems, and the steering wheel's going out. The psychologist testifies that even though he is 17, he acts 12, and so why are we trialing him as an adult? And his parents are willing to pay for rehab to help him and have guidance, something that they never gave him.
The prosecution may call its first witness.
Yes, Your Honor, we call witness Eric Boyles to the stand.
Please raise your right hand and place your left hand here. Do you promise that the testimony you shall give in the case before this court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? I do.
Would you please state your name?
Eric Boyles.
And how are you exactly relevant to this case, Mr. Boyles?
My daughter Shelby and my wife Holly were 2 of the 4 victims killed in Ethan Couch's crash.
And what was it like discovering that your wife and daughter had just been killed by a drunk driver?
Absolutely mortifying. It's been a long healing process ever since.
And how old was your wife before she died?
52.
Tell me a little bit about her.
She was a very outgoing, helping person. She was very involved in the church and very selfless. She was all about helping others.
And your daughter Shelby, how old was she?
21.
And could you tell me a little bit about her as well?
She was enrolled in Louisiana University. She was planning on getting her nursing degree.
And has there been any regards of remorse from Ethan?
Not at all.
And if he had, do you believe it would have helped not only you, but the other victims involved in this?
Without a doubt.
From what knowledge you have, how would you describe Ethan?
A reckless, very selfish teenager. Needless to say, endangerment to society.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have no further questions.
Does the defense have anything for the witness?
Yes, Your Honor. Okay, Mr. Boyles, you said your wife was a very good woman. She was selfless. And if she knew what had happened, do you think that she would want a boy that knew nothing right? Do you think she'd want him to go to jail or get help?
Yes.
Okay. Did you teach your daughter right from wrong?
Yes.
Is it important for children to have parental guidance?
Yes, but I believe that they can take action
responsibility should be held accountable for his actions. Okay. Do you know anyone with depression or substance abuse?
Could you say that again?
Do you know anyone with depression or substance abuse?
Yes.
Are you aware that Ethan's parents are paying good money for him to get help?
Yes. Using
And-
their money to buy justice.
And if you had good money, would you pay for your daughter to go to a rehab place if she was in Ethan's place?
I would want her to learn from her or suffer the consequences.
So you'd want her to go to jail and it would mask the problem rather than get help.
Yes, if she killed 4 innocent people.
That's all.
Anything else from the prosecution?
No, Your Honor.
You may be seated. Is the defense ready for its case?
Yes, Your Honor. I call Solomon Mohammed to the stand.
Please raise your right hand and place your left hand here. Do you promise that the testimony you shall give in the case before this court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do. Would you please state your name to the court?
Solomon Moment.
Okay. Would you tell us your relation with this case?
Well, I'm pretty good friends with Ethan.
Okay. How well did you know his family?
Pretty well.
Were his parents around very often?
No, they weren't. I never really saw them. Ethan always complained about how they were never around. They didn't really give him any guidance, so he was pretty much blind to the consequences of the world. He didn't know right from wrong.
How often were you with him?
I was with him a lot, and I tried to keep him out of trouble.
Okay. What were you doing on the afternoon of June 15th, 2013?
Well, we were just cruising and having fun.
Who were you with?
We were with Ethan Couch, or I was with Ethan Couch and the rest of my friends.
Were you aware of Ethan's medical problems?
Yes, I knew he had depression, and so his doctor prescribed him Valium, and it helped him with his depression, and it was used to calm him down.
I would like to submit evidence. And what this evidence shows is that Ethan Couch was tested by a psychologist, and it showed that he had multiple health issues, including depression and substance abuse. And how would you say that he was acting that day?
Well, he had a rough night before with his depression, so that morning he took his medication for the day, and he said that he had some new meds to take to help treat it, but it seemed to have the opposite reaction. He seemed drowsy and agitated, and he wasn't making much sense.
Were you with him the night before?
Yes.
Did you see what medications he was taking?
Yes, he took several, but one of them I seen was Valium. It was prescribed to him by his doctor to help him keep him calm.
I would like to submit some records. And what this evidence shows is that Valium is indeed used to treat anxiety, which can lead to depression, and it's used to produce a calming effect. What were y'all doing that afternoon?
We were just out driving that afternoon, but when we were driving, Ethan's truck started to make weird noises, and it was driving just abnormal.
Had Ethan ever mentioned anything about having a recall on his truck?
Yeah, he said he got a letter in the mail about it.
I'd like to see. And this evidence shows that there has been multiple recalls on his truck, including the transmission, the engine, and another one on the engine. What was the truck doing, would you say?
Well, that night the engine was making weird noises, and then the steering went out. We all started screaming, and then we crashed.
What was your reaction when you crashed?
We were all scared and in shock, but then Ethan tried to keep us calm. I know Ethan is now suffering from PTSD, and That's from the wreck.
No further questions.
Does the prosecution have anything for this witness?
Yes, Your Honor. Would you please state your name?
Solomon Noman,
And how old are you?
16.
And how exactly are you relevant to this case?
Well, I was in the passenger seat of the truck during that night with Ethan.
Okay. You were in the passenger seat, you say?
Yes.
Well, here in my press release report, I would like to submit this as evidence. I have that you were one of the two in the back of the truck, and you suffered numerous broken bones and internal injuries from being thrown out of the truck. Is this correct?
Sure.
And were you involved in stealing the 2 packs of alcohol from Walmart prior to the wreck?
No.
You were not? Well, here I have that you were caught on surveillance in the local Walmart. I would like to submit this as evidence. And that you were indeed caught stealing the alcohol at the Burlington Walmart. Is that correct?
No.
After you, Ethan, and the rest of your friends stole the alcohol, where did you go?
Went back to his house. And
Was
we
it
can't
his-
see him at all.
Was it his parents' second home?
Say again?
Was it his parents' second home?
Yes.
And so while you were partying and getting drunk together, what made Ethan, you, and the rest of your friends decide to leave?
We just decided that we were gonna go driving. I'm not really sure.
Well, I have here, and also the press release report, that you and your friends, after stealing the beer, then going to the second home, at some point you had to go get personal feminine hygiene products from Walmart for a girl at the party. Is this correct?
No.
I can see the evidence. And including yourself, there are 7 passengers in the truck, correct? And would you, may I approach the witness?
Yes.
I would like to submit this as evidence. Could you please read the following highlighted part?
Driver's license restrictions for 16 and 17-year-olds. Passenger, for the first 6 months of obtaining a driver's license, may only drive with a licensed driving instructor or parents or legal guardian, at least one of whom holds a valid driver's license, or a person providing instruction who is at least 20 years old, has held a license for at least 4 years with no suspension during the last 4 years. For the second 6 months, may drive with the above people or may also drive with immediate family.
Okay, thank you. And not including Ethan, were any of the others a relative, parent, or instructor of at least 20 years?
No.
Okay. So you were riding in the back of the truck, correct?
Yes.
And you are 15, correct?
I'm 16.
Well, I have here that in the report that you were in fact 15. You, Star Teague, Christian Victorious, and Solomon Mohab. That's you. You were 15 during the time of the crash, which is June 15th, 2013, which would be a year later. So, could you please read this aloud? May I approach the witness? I'd like to submit this as evidence.
Texas Traffic Law SB 399 prohibits children under 18 from riding in the back of a pickup or flatbed truck. There are several notable exceptions, including if it is the only family vehicle or it is a government-sanctioned hayride. The old law applied to children under 12 years of age, and only if the vehicle was traveling more than 35 miles per hour.
And wasn't it true that Ethan was in fact driving 70 in a 40-mile-per-hour zone?
Yes.
And were any of the exceptions mentioned in the law pertaining to your situation?
What was our only vehicle?
Yes, but was it for, was it the family's only vehicle? I'm sure since his parents were wealthy, that was not the only vehicle they had.
The only vehicle we had access to.
Yes, okay. Could you tell Ethan was driving fast?
I never took a look at the speedometer, but it was pretty obvious.
And did you ever ask Ethan to slow down?
No, we were just kind of having fun. We weren't worried about it.
I would like to submit this as evidence. It says here that when Couch drove too fast, his companions asked him to slow down. Instead, he sped up. Is this correct?
I don't remember, so.
And so you would say Ethan's driving behavior was careless, considering that he had not only Valium in his system that was unprescribed, but he had 3 times the adult legal limit of alcohol. So would you say his actions were careless?
Well, considering he doesn't know right from wrong, they would be considered careless in regular society, but in this case, he didn't know what he was doing.
And you being 16 now, would you say that you have learned right from wrong being of age? Because eventually, we all know, I'm pretty sure everyone in this courtroom knows that you reach an age where this doesn't really depend on your parents anymore. It depends on how you personally feel, and you make your own choices. And you should have a conscience or something in the back of your head telling you what is right from wrong. So, do you think that Ethan did have some sort of voice in the back of his head telling him that drinking, driving, and being underage was all okay, or was it wrong?
Well, I do not think that he did because his parents never taught him how to have that, so he wouldn't know what is right from wrong.
Okay. And do you have knowledge of Ethan's previous offenses with alcohol?
A little.
And how do you remember the wreck happening?
We were driving up the hill, and then we went over, and we just crashed after it veered off the road.
Well, I'd like to submit this as evidence, Your Honor. And here we have the police report from the press release report of the exact way the crash happened. So you have Ethan right here driving, hitting before bystanders that were on side of the road, fixing a flat completely off the road, causing it to hit this parked car, causing it to hit a car in the other lane of oncoming traffic. Is that correct?
Yes.
And the wreck happened at about midnight, correct? Because I have here that it happened at 11:58.
It happened at 11:58, not midnight.
About midnight. Okay, so could you please read the following aloud? The highlighted part, please. I would like to submit this as evidence.
Driver license restrictions for 16 and 17-year-olds. Curfew. Until 18th birthday, may not drive between hours of 11 p.m. through 5 a.m. unless it is for employment, school, religious activities, or medical necessity.
And you were, in fact, out past 11 p.m., correct?
Yes.
And was this for a employment, school, or religious activity, or medical necessity?
Well, when we went to go get those things for that girl, that's medical necessity.
It was, so you know what, I thought you didn't remember what you were getting that night. You and your friends just piled in the truck. So what things were you getting for that girl exactly?
I'm not sure. I wasn't associated with anything.
So how would that for sure be a medical necessity?
I mean, if they need that, then I guess that's a medical necessity.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have no further questions.
Anything further from the defense being read? What would you say Ethan's mental state was when he was driving?
He was pretty calm from his volume, and he was just didn't know what he was doing from the alcohol.
Was he mentally mature enough to know what he was doing?
I don't believe so.
Were you aware that he was tested by a doctor and it indeed showed that his mental state was of a 12-year-old?
Yes.
Would you say that Ethan was influenced by his parents' bad ways?
Yes.
So you're aware of their past records with the police?
Mm-hmm.
No further questions.
Are both sides ready for final arguments?
Yes, Your Honor.
Your Honor, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, before I begin my initial closing statement, I would like to take this opportunity to thank you for being attentive to our trial today. I think the first thing you need to understand is because of the reckless actions of Ethan Couch, 4 people are dead. In the history of this nation, it is unlawful to take the life of another human being, let alone 4. Ethan Couch took 4 innocent lives when he made the choice to steal alcohol, get drunk at a party, and drive drunk, making Holly, Shelby, Brian, and Brianna pay the ultimate price for his decisions. Ethan knew the law. He knew it was illegal to drink at only 16, or else why would he have even stolen the alcohol in the first place? Ethan and Ethan alone made the choice, and for the death of these innocent victims, he should be the one to suffer the consequences. Look at the big picture and see that Ethan Couch is guilty, and the only ones suffering are the families of the victims. Stop and think, how would you feel if your husband, wife, daughter, best friend were killed because of a careless 16-year-old drunk driver? Put yourself in their shoes and realize how much Ethan has affected the lives of so many. Ethan took something that can't be replaced. He took something that's priceless. He took the lives of 4 human beings. Thank you, Your Honor.
Your Honor, jury of the court, I'd like to start off this statement by saying Ethan Couch is extremely immature. He lived alone. Every weekend he had crazy parties. He barely talked to his parents. So again, to prove our point, how could his parents teach him anything if he lived alone and never talked to them? After he had the wreck, he said to one of his friends, "Don't worry, I'm Ethan Couch. I can get you out of this." He had more money than he needed, causing him to only care about getting more, which is our argumentative subject, affluenza. Jury, have you been taught lessons by your parents? Because Ethan wasn't. Ethan Couch had many health problems. He had depression, which is also anxiety. They're linked very closely together. He had substance abuse, which is the abuse of drugs and alcohol. And did you know that Valium helps you with alcohol withdrawal? So if Ethan was an alcoholic and he was trying to get off of alcohol, do you think that he might have taken that to help him with that? And his depression and anxiety? The reason he's in rehab is, okay, people say that this is a case and it's not fair because of the money issue, that his parents are really wealthy. And it's not all about the money, but it really is true. Since his parents had so much money, they paid for rehab, which was an alternative to jail. So yes, if they didn't have any money, they wouldn't be able to afford rehab for Ethan. But since they do, they can pay for him to go there for 6 months to a year. And also he's getting 10 years probation. So after he's out of rehab and he's out on his own, I'm sure his parents will be closely monitoring him, but he has 10 years probation, so that means that he can drive probably, but he won't be able to drive, he won't be able to take drugs, or he will go to jail. So it's pretty much living out on your own, but you're still under the pressure of not doing anything wrong. Also, if Ethan went to juvenile detention, it would cost money, but guess how much his parents would have to pay for juvenile detention? $0. Since Ethan isn't in rehab, his parents are paying for it. So would you rather his parents pay or not? What do you think, jury? If this was your son or brother, what would you want to be done? Would you want justice to be served and him be in jail, or would you want help for him? On the night of June 15, 2013, Ethan Couch did not think, I'm going to drink some alcohol, I'm going to get drunk, I'm going to end up driving, I'm going to have a wreck, I'm going to kill people on accident, and I'm going to take their lives, and I'm going to cause their families a lot of distress. You don't premeditate all that, and you don't know what's going to happen. Jury, if you were about to drink, would you think all of this? Please make the smart and clearly obvious decision that Ethan Couch, even though he has done some bad things, is not capable of the adult comprehension skills and is innocent. Thank you.
Any final words from the prosecution?
No, Your Honor.
Let me remind the jury that you need to base your decision solely on the information that you have heard today. You may now enter into deliberation. We'll take a 5-minute recess.
You may be seated.
Has the jury reached a verdict?
We find the defendant guilty.
The jury has found the defendant guilty. Thank you for your time today. Case dismissed, and jury, you are excused.